My name is Gabe Zolna. You remember when the FBI first came out and they said they identified the two, and they said that the guy with the black hat and the guy with the white hat, the cap that's turned around backwards, don't focus on anybody else but those two? I was sort of amazed as to how they could be so absolutely certain without having additional proof other than what they said they had. And at that time, what they told us is they had video surveillance from a store across the street. Well, as it turns out, a friend of mine just sent me an email, and this is from Mr. Conservative, and the article is titled "Man Who Lost Both Legs in Boston Bombing IDs Terrorist Suspect." Well, according to this article, Jeff Bowman, who's 27 years old, was there watching to see his girlfriend finish the race. And the gentleman with the white cap turned backwards stood right beside him. And they actually had eye contact at that point. And then the gentleman with the white cap dropped his backpack. And within a couple of minutes after he left, the bombs went off, and Jeff Bowman's legs are shredded below the knees. And when he woke up from surgery, he asked his brother, who was standing beside him, I guess in a hospital room, for a pen. And what he wrote, quote, "Bag. Saw the guy, looked right at me." So having that information, the FBI was able to identify who they were, and I'm certain that Mr. Bowman was able to identify the videos of the people that the FBI showed him as to who they thought based on the description that Mr. Bowman provided. Well, you have to wonder, if Mr. Bowman wouldn't have survived, what do you think would have happened? It's a scary thought. That might still happen because one of them, the guy with the white cap, is still on the run. His brother is deceased. What's also amazing is that people don't recognize that this, I believe, is just the beginning. And the reason I say that is on WorldNet Daily, they had written an article that I read, and I made reference to it in a previous video, that the Ayatollah from Iran, he blamed what happened on what the United States is doing to people in both Pakistan and Iran when they vaporize them with Hellfire missiles. Because what happens is not only are the targets that the administration is going after vaporized, so are a lot of innocent bystanders. And from what I was able to Google, they've killed over 4,000 people. That's pretty dramatic. I'm actually surprised that al-Qaeda waited as long as they have to do what they're now doing, which is why I don't think it's going to stop. I think this is the first of what I suspect will be numerous attacks on our country. And you have to really wonder how we could have an administration that is being supportive, as this administration is, of our enemy, of our enemies, like in Egypt, and like in Libya, and like supplying weapons, supplying money, supplying training in Syria, which they've been doing for the last year to the Syrian rebels, training them in Jordan. I mean, how insane is any of this? None of this is really new. If you remember when the Russians were fighting in Afghanistan, they had a 10-year war. And the United States was supplying the Taliban with Stinger missiles. And it was the Stinger missiles that eventually shot down so many Russian helicopters and destroyed so many of their tanks and other equipment that they retreated in defeat. Now, who do you think is supplying the Syrian army? Russia. I mean, this has been going on for probably centuries. It's none of our business. We have no right in doing it. We need to protect our own borders, and taxpayer money shouldn't be used to fund terrorism. And that's exactly what this administration is doing, and that's exactly what previous administrations have done as well. They fund terror. And now, the terror is on our doorstep. What goes around comes around. Get it?